I'm going to show you how to make a message into an autopilot message for your users. Your new Panda toolset will need to be set up in such a way that you have administrative access and that you have access to creating autopilot messages. So if those features are not available to you at this time, just send us an email at help@newpanda.com and we will see if we can get you set up. Okay, for this video I'm not going to get too much into how to create an email message or how to create a social message, because those are covered in other tutorial videos. So we're really just going to concentrate, once you've already created your message, on how to turn it into an autopilot event for your users. Okay, so for demonstration purposes, let's say we're doing our happy holidays message. Okay, and I'll do both an email and a social portion to my message, and you'll see why here coming up. Okay, so we've got the email portion of our message the way that we want it. You won't need to worry about this user card that you see down at the bottom, because that is going to update once that message is created for each user, their user card and their name here, or whatever, according to the template that you've chosen or the message that you've created, depending on the merge tags that you've used, will all update. Okay, so you don't need to worry unless you have physically come in here and updated the template itself to be your contact information. Okay, so, but if you just let it default to, if there's a user card that automatically appears, you will not need to update that. Okay, okay, email portion done, and it's the way that we want it. We're going to save and continue. We're going to get to the email details page. The first thing that I want to show you is the message name. And there's two things to keep in mind when you're creating an autopilot message for your users. Number one, the message name should be meaningful to you if you're going to be managing this, because 6 months from now, a year from now, 2 years from now, when you're looking for that message because you might want to replicate it or to do something like that, it's helpful if you have a meaningful message name. Number two, when the message is created for your users in their account, this is the message name they're going to see as well. So it should not only be meaningful and helpful for you, but it should be meaningful and helpful to those users for whom this message is going to be created. Okay? All right, so I just called mine autopilot email and social. Happy Holidays 2013. Very self-explanatory, not too long. Perfect. Now the email subject line, if you have created an email portion of the message, is going to be this subject line that is created for the emails for each of your users. So that will be what the email recipients see when they get that email in their inbox. Okay, so in my case, I just chose wishing you a happy holiday season. If there is no email portion, if you're just creating a social autopilot message, then you can just type some characters here. You can copy and paste your message name, but an email subject line, no matter what, whether there's an actual email going out or not, is required by our system. So have something in here. Okay, your from name, from email address, and reply to email, again, if you're creating an email portion to your message, will all default to the user. So do not worry with those and leave those be. And as far as who do you want to receive this email, now if you have a recipient groups created according to the agreement that we have with your broker, for example, you might have a real estate newsletter subscription group that is common to all users. If you have groups like that that are common to all your users, you can designate groups for whom the message will be created here. If you don't have groups that are common to every user, it's best to leave that be, and instead don't select any contacts, and then by default the system will create that message with all recipients to receive it. Okay, so our recommendation, again, unless you have a very specific group that you are designating to receive the message that's already been created for all of your users, then we're just going to leave this portion alone, and we're going to save and continue. All right, so your email portion, message name, email subject line is now set up. All right, so the next is going to be the social networks. If you've created a social portion of the message, and you want to create social autopilot posts for your users, then you're going to designate, you're going to need to select a Facebook, or excuse me, a social account for each type of message that you would like to be created. If you want the message to be postable to Facebook profiles, and that's the personal Facebook accounts, not fan pages, right? You'd need to select a Facebook profile. If you want it to also be available to post on user Facebook fan pages, you're going to select a fan page as a destination group. Same thing for a LinkedIn and for a Twitter, okay? And as you can see here, New Panda, we've set up little test accounts or little fake accounts just for this purpose, so that we, when we create our autopilot messages for all of our users, then this is the account that we select, okay? And the message will actually get created for those accounts as well, okay? All right, I'm not going to go through actually creating the guts of the social message, because like I said before, that is covered in a different video. So let's say that we've got our social portion of the message happy and wonderful, just the way that we want it. Again, we're going to come here, we're going to save and continue. That's going to take us to the save and schedule and send page, okay? And for each type of message that you've created, excuse me, you may see two different sending options here. Because we've created an email message and a social message, there's two different sections that we need to do, okay? So, and you can create separate send times and dates for the email versus the social if you want, okay? So for the email portion, we're going to select create autopilot. The first thing that you'll need to do here is you're going to need to select your autopilot channel, and those are going to be the menu that you will see will be determined based on what we have set up with your broker, okay? So be very careful when selecting your autopilot channel, okay? That's going to determine for a large portion who can receive it. Now the user's message name, this is what we went over before, the user, or excuse me, the message name that we created. Now if you wanted to, you could update the user message name here. It will also update your message name for the autopilot. So just so you know, you have a little flexibility here if you need to change it, but it's also going to change the message name in your message list. The same thing with the email subject line. If you wanted to update it here, you certainly can. That's going to update the email subject line for all the users. Now the creation date for the message is the time that you want the message to appear in the New Panda application for your users. So what we recommend is a little bit of planning ahead. Usually, especially if you're new to this, saves a little bit of frustration or possibly even some embarrassment. We do not recommend, if you haven't done this before, creating a message today that needs to go out in 25 minutes, because you never know if you're going to need to go back and adjust the message or some of the settings thereof. So what I recommend that you do is, I like to have at least a week before my message is actually going to be created in the user accounts, and that gives me time to get feedback that was supposed to come in, 3 days ago, but that person had an emergency and they were out of the office, and now their feedback's 3 days late, and you still have some time to recover if you need to, okay? But you can, if you absolutely need to, you could create a message to be available to your users in as little as 3 to 5 minutes, and you could have it sent in that same time frame if you want. But I'm going to say let's create this message a week from today. You can even specify the time of day that you want it to be available to your users, okay? So my message is going to be available to my users on October 23rd at 9 a.m. That's when they can log into their New Panda tools and view that message, edit that message, change the send time and date, make any updates. They can even delete it if they want to, okay? That's the time that they get to look at the message. Now the scheduled send date, again, for planning purposes and for your user feedback, They don't like it if you create the message at 9 o'clock on, October 23rd and then send it out at 10 o'clock in the morning, because they don't have a whole lot of time to make any modifications if they want to. Now, if you're a user that doesn't care or isn't going to manage it, great. Send it immediately if you want to, right after the creation time. That's absolutely fine. But if you have users that like to get in there and explore and modify and tweak and do things like that, we recommend giving them like a 2 or 3 day window, to make modifications, just in case their schedule is super busy. Okay. So your scheduled date is the day that the message is going to go out to, in this case, it's an email message. So this one will get emailed, let's say, at 2 o'clock on October 26th. And again, these are all Eastern Standard Time, so plan ahead if you're in a different time zone, okay? The next section is the entity section. That is going to be determine which users the message is created for, okay? And again, the hierarchy of entities that you see is going to depend again on the agreement that we have with your organization, okay? So you can get very, very specific in whom you want the message to be created for, if you want to, okay? You can leave it at your top level entity if you want to, so that all of your users at the highest level get the message, or you can really drill down if you want to. You could even select, depending upon your administrative rights as well, a specific office that would get that message, okay? So that's how you select the users for which the message will be created. Now the social autopilot, it's just the same thing. Your menu choices will be different, possibly, than your email choices. You may have some different channels or subjects created, okay? So again, just be super careful with when you have the message created for your users, and then when you are going to go on and send that message out to the actual recipients. And the final thing that I will tell you is, once the message is created in the user accounts, so in this case for the social message, October 23rd at 1 p.m., New Panda is going to create a message for each individual user according to what you've designated down here in the entity list, okay? So once this time has passed and the message is created for all of the users, you are not going to be able to edit that message anymore and have it update to all the users. So let me just save and continue. Oops. Sorry about that. Let's just save that if we can. There we go. So because I've selected my message to actually get created for the users a week from now, if I have an epiphany or somebody comes and requests the change, then I can still come in here and edit this message anytime up until October 23rd at 1 o'clock p.m. After that time, the message will no longer be editable, okay? And what that means is, if you discover after the message has been created for all of your users that something needs to change, then each and every one of those users is going to have that message, their individual message, updated. And again, that's where I was talking about planning ahead a little bit. And so you give yourself a little bit of time, just in case those last minute changes come in. Your organization, better than anyone else. You will know how much time you need to leave yourself in case emergency changes need to be made, okay? So once that message is created in all the user tool sets, you cannot mass update it any longer, okay?